like to call the Monday, February 1st, Finance Committee meeting to order. Clerk Shea, please call the roll. Clerk Manning.
Councilor Kane.
Present.
Councilor Kroll.
Present.
Councilor DeBona.
Present.
Councilor Finn. Councilor Forrest. Present. Councilor Liang.
Present.
Councilor Palmucci. Councilor Hughes. Present.
Okay. So we have before us this evening Order 2016-003, which is an appropriation for $6,752,145 for the MSBA Accelerated Repair Program for Beechwood Knoll and Marymount Schools. Just to sort of set the table, as I had been informed, this will not be voted on this evening, primarily due to the fact that it takes 2 weeks to properly advertise for this particular appropriation. Where we met last time on a Tuesday, we're a day short of the Monday. So I also just want to do a time check with folks that we will be, we have a hard stop at 7:10 because we have a couple other preliminary items on the agenda before we go into the general meeting. So at this point, I'm going to defer to the Mayor's representative, Chris Walker, and I don't know if you want to invite anyone to the podium, sir, but however, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, as you mentioned, what you have before you tonight is a $6.7 million request for appropriation, which is the 6th and 7th projects that the city will be contemplating under the Massachusetts School Building Authority's Accelerated Repair Program. We've had some tremendous success with this program over the course of the last several years, totaling more than $6 million in grants to do windows and doors at North Quincy High School, Wollaston Elementary School, Marymount School, Lincoln Hancock School, and Parker School. Those were done this summer in the first round of projects. I know if you've seen them, not only from the outside when you look aesthetically at these buildings and the difference it makes, but also for the long-term functionality. These improvements have really made a tremendous difference in these schools. The request tonight continues that program. We've been qualified for 2 additional projects, the windows, doors, and the roof at Beechwood Elementary School, and the roof at Marymount School. Tonight with us, I'll briefly introduce the project team, and those folks will come up and give a very brief explanation of the project going forward. With us tonight is Walter McDonald from the Public Buildings Department, Superintendent Richard DiCristofaro, who's been a key piece of everything that we've done going forward with the SBA over the last several years. Project team, we have Daniel Bass from Baker Wall Architects, Ron Guada and Suresh Bhatia from Atlantic Construction. They're our project managers. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. McDonald to give a brief overview of the Accelerated Repair Program and introduce the rest of the project team. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Kroll, members of the City Council Finance Committee. It's a pleasure for the Public Building Department to be here this evening to present the MSBA Accelerated Repair projects for Beechwood Knoll Roof, windows and doors, and Marymount Roof. Our department is very familiar with MSBA Accelerated Repair Program, having completed 5 window and door projects last year with a value of over $8 million. One of those projects actually was Marymount, where we replaced the windows over there. I'd like to give you a brief summary of the Accelerated Repair Project with MSBA, how it works. In December of 2014, Dr. DiCristofaro received a letter from MSBA that they would be accepting statement of interest from districts for the Accelerated Repair Program. The statement of interest is the first critical step of the MSBA Accelerated Repair Project. It allows districts to inform the MSBA of deficiencies in their school facilities and how the deficiencies inhibit delivery of district education programs. Upon receiving the statement of interest, the Public Building Department, along with the school department and our building maintenance team, met to identify buildings that we thought would be good candidates for this program in Marymount and Beechwood Knoll. seemed to be the top priority in the system. The school department then submitted an application for the statement of interest in February 2015. And MSBA came out in the spring and physically looked at our buildings to see if they met the MSBA criteria for the program. In June, the MSBA Board of Directors voted to invite the city of Quincy into the ARP program and conduct a schematic design study. The invitation to partner with MSBA on schematic design is not approval of the project. It's strictly an invitation. During the summer, the MSBA assigned us an owner's project manager, which was Atlantic Project Management, and a designer, Baker Wall. The OPM and the designer are pre-selected by the MSBA, and the city is required to use these firms. We have no say in these firms. Since September, the city has worked with the OPM and designer to complete a schematic design and total project budget for both school projects. With approval of the City Council, Finance Committee, we hope to move forward with construction drawings, bidding, and construction of the projects. Now I'd like to give you kind of a brief overview of what we're doing at Marymount and Beechwood. Beechwood Window and Doors. Beechwood was built in 1951 and had a renovation in 1994. There are 5,250 square feet of exterior window wall in the original section, and there are 2,500 square feet of windows in the 1994 addition. There are 19 exterior doors, all in need of replacement. The window frame seals have aged considerably, leaking in many areas. We found that there's no insulation whatsoever in the original building on the window walls. On the Beechwood roof, there's 33,500 square feet of roofing that needs to be replaced. The roofing system on the original buildings are past their useful lifespan, with aging single-ply roofing and bituminous top layer. Areas of asphalt shingles and single-ply roofing on the 1994 edition have failed. All existing roofing needs to be removed to structural deck and replaced with fully adhered insulation and new PVC roofing. There are skylights that need to be replaced. Secondary drainage needs to be added to the gymnasium and scuppers and roof leaders. On the Marymount roof, Marymount was built in 1929. It was a major renovation in 1976. The Marymount roof is 16,000 square feet. The roofing system and associated roofing mechanical and electrical systems on the roof have surpassed their useful life. And it has an aging built-up roofing system past its useful life. The flashing is deteriorated. The cornice is leaking. Expansion joints are leaking. The parapet wall is deteriorated. All existing roofing needs to be removed to structural deck and replaced with mechanically fastened insulation covered with new PVC roof. I'd like to introduce to you the OPM, who is Atlantic Project Management, Suresh Patia and Ron Vada. Suresh can explain the scope of the project, his responsibilities, oversight of the project, and any questions related to the MSBA spreadsheet they have in front of you. The project designer is Daniel Bass from Baker Wall Architects, and Daniel will explain the design and engineering of the project, as well as any questions you may have.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Bass with Baker Wall Architects. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and it's a pleasure to be a part of the team that's working on these two schools. The thing I think that I'd like to emphasize for you about this work is, it's already, the scope of it's been well explained by Walter, but I think the thing that I'd like to emphasize for you is the benefit that will accrue from the project. So, to give an example, at the Beechwood Knoll, the original 1950s wing has this classroom wing that goes out the back, and those walls are virtually uninsulated. I actually find it quite amazing that you've not had any substantial complaints about it over the years, but you have managed well enough, but we can substantially improve that for you. We're going to take down the whole wall from the, almost from the roof all the way down to the foundation line, and put up a new storefront system that will be well insulated and will not have air leaks going through it. That, together with a well insulated roofing system, is going to vastly improve the comfort and the energy efficiency of the building, and we think you will also have better light quality coming in through the windows. So this is going to be a lot better for your students in that school. The work at Marymount is less flashy. You won't see the results quite as well because it's all up on the roof and behind the parapet. But in the same measure, by adding a lot of insulation to that roof, we're going to improve the energy efficiency of the building and the overall comfort for your students. So that's the main thing I have to say. Obviously, we're here to answer any questions, but at this point, I think I'll go ahead and hand off to Suraj.
Good evening. My name is Suresh Bhatia. I'm with Atlantic Construction and Management. And just like want to explain to you the process. MSBA pre-selects OPM and designers for the project. And it's a very rigorous project process that they go through. And this is our, I believe, the 14th repair project, similar to yours. And in front of you on the spreadsheet, the MSBA takes the value for each. They assign the value based upon the state guidelines. And Quincy, City of Quincy's rate is 68.96 reimbursable of the total cost. So what you have in front of you are the different costs for the total project that we have estimated. With the designer has estimated, we have reviewed the estimates. And out of that, the total cost, approximately 69% would be reimbursable by the state, and the other 31% is the City of Quincy's responsibility. The state, the MSBA looks at it, and there are certain items they tend to exclude, and that's included in your spreadsheet. Like there's a rooftop unit at the Marymount School. Because the rooftop unit is not part of the program of the MSBA's repair program or the roof program, they will participate in picking it up and reinstalling a new rooftop. The cost, because it was determined the rooftop unit is very old, it needs to be replaced or should be replaced now. So the cost of the rooftop itself unit is to be paid by the city, will not be reimbursed by the state. Similarly, at Marymount, the window air conditioners are old, they should be replaced. So the cost of the window air conditioners, and then there's some shelving that's also involved. The state will pay for removal and installation, but will not pay for the cost of the shelving. And that we recommend there should be new shelving. And those are the only three items that are not reimbursable to the city. The city pays 100% for those three items. So if you have any other questions on the sheets in front of you, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
At this time, I think we'll transition and let, I don't know if that's the end of the presentation or if there's some other folks, but if we have some questions directed at you, if you'd be so kind to invite you back.
Thank you.
Are there any other presenters here this evening? Dr. D, did you want to give any perspective from a school standpoint? I know you were with us and you were here last time as well, so I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add. It's okay. Just wanted to know if you can know.
I'll just real quick. I'm still trying to figure out what a scupper is. No, just thank you again for your consideration. You've been unbelievable through a lot of projects. So I just say thank you for your consideration.
It's also important to note that we have with us here this evening the Director of Finance, Mark Kavanaugh, as well as the Treasurer Collector, Deb Kavanaugh, who's going to entertain probably one of the financial questions. So I don't know if Councilor is anything initially, Councilor Forrest, and the microphone here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you and to the gentleman, I didn't catch his name, that was just presenting, the designer from Baker and Wall. Or maybe Pat, or maybe Mel after. On the Marymount School project, you had talked about one of the things you mentioned was the removal of air conditioners. They don't support acquisition of new equipment, but they'll do the removal. Thank you. So the removal of the air conditioner, the old, are we in this project replacing the air conditioners
Yes, we
in
are.
their exterior units?
There are window units.
Window units
like a window air
in the shelving that supports the air conditioning.
No, the shelving is the book shelving that's on the inside, on each side of the heating units. And those shelving need to come out, like Daniel explained, we're replacing the whole
Correct.
wall, so they need to come out. This MSBA will not reimburse the city the cost of the shelving. They will pay for the removal and the reinstallation.
I see Mr. Marcello jumping up. Do you want anything to add to that?
No, other than the reason we have air conditioners, we have these window-type air conditioners in there. We looked at other alternatives.
This is going to be my next question. Great,
Yeah,
thank
we
you.
looked at other alternatives, rooftop units, and because they're ugly the way they stick outside of the windows, and they do function very well, but aesthetically they look terrible. We're doing a whole new system here. So what we've done is we've designed that they'll sit flush, and there'll be a louver. It'll be inside, so from the exterior of the building, you will not see any of that. Oh, you're talking about Marymount?
I was
I'm sorry. Okay, that's a rooftop unit,
Okay.
and that's in poor shape. It's falling apart. Now, MSBA will support all the piping, electrical for that unit, but it makes sense for us at this point, to pay for that unit now, because it's past its useful life. It doesn't make sense to rip the whole roof up, do all the work on it. We're putting all new fans, so that's covered by MSBA. All these rooftop fans and everything. Just that AC unit is not covered.
I see.
And
So the mechanical and electrical systems at Marymount, our rooftop systems, rooftop bed, are being replaced as part of the project.
We have it in there to replace that, but that's not. We won't be reimbursed on that.
Got it. But it's part of our project budget. And then
Right.
I just wanted to get a timeline for the Marymount, particularly Marymount repairs.
For Marymount, I think we'll probably be able to start that first once the kids get out of school. I mean,
Completed before they return to school.
Oh, yes.
Summer
Absolutely.
project, not interrupting any of the school.
Yeah, in Marymount, we feel confident that we'll be in good shape.
And
We'll
the
start.
windows were done, those windows were done last summer.
The windows are done. That's
And
what.
the doors?
Doors
and
and
doors.
windows.
And doors.
Yeah, that's why we're real happy about this
Yeah.
project, because we got a complete envelope
Complete
now.
envelope, absolutely.
So we're happy with that, and it's. I know a lot of people have seen it, and, they really like it aesthetically. It came out really nice.
And I'm very pleased and glad to see the investment
Yeah.
there, so thank you very much. That's
Sure.
all, Mr. Chairman.
Did you have something, Walter?
No, I didn't know. Kristen,
Thank you.
wanted to ask a question.
I will think of like the unnamed Ward 6. All right, can you hear me now?
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I'm here. Okay. We cannot pass this evening, correct? We cannot. Okay. But I just wanted to give a word of support. I know Beechwood Knoll has waited a long time for these improvements, and I know it's going to greatly improve the experience of the kids, but the teachers as well, which I always give a nod to, because they're the ones who are freezing and stifled in the summer, working hard before classes start. I wonder if the same holds true for Beechwood Knoll when the project is expected to begin after we do vote on it, and how long will that be completed before school begins, or will there be some work going on while the kids are in school?
Our goal is to have everything done by the start of school. That's our goal.
Yes.
We get out, we have to bid these projects. And we have to have the plans in place. You get a lot of, every school system, you know, all these school systems throughout the country are doing these types of projects. So we want to get in the queue as quickly as possible to get these, and then we're working very, very diligently to do that. So we're in hopes we'll have the windows in time when the children get out of school and work through the summer. We got a lot of storefronts, which actually we may be able to get quicker than windows. The new edition has windows, and I think we'll still get them in time. We're in hopes we will, but the storefronts may actually come quicker. The roofing project, we shouldn't. I don't have any real concerns that we wouldn't meet the roofing project, and we're really in hopes. It's just you have to go by what you're given by the manufacturers. But and I remember when we did Montclair that we were in hopes of getting the windows in. Started school when school let out, and we got them Labor Day weekend. This isn't we shouldn't be the case, but you're held hostage kind of by the manufacturers, but we're doing everything we can, so we're not. We're going to get it in the queue as quickly as we can.
Good. And just a question actually to, I think Dr. Christopher briefly about letting the faculty, the parents know about the work going on and showing them what is going to come up. And have you communicated that, or has Mrs. O'Keefe been able to communicate that?
No, not at this point, but we certainly will.
Yeah.
And we can give them a timeline. We'll meet with the community, we'll meet with PTO, the staff, no problem at all. But that communication will occur, you know, maybe in March at some time, you know, when we're really sure we're full speed ahead, and let them know what's happening now. And we've been tremendously fortunate in public buildings. You know, last summer, an incredible amount of work at so many buildings, and we're ready to open in September. So we'll have the same thing next year.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
I have a question. Council Leanne.
You guys hear me? Okay. Through you, Mr. Chair, I just have a couple of questions. So we had done projects before through the MSBA, correct? Do we have the final numbers on those completed projects in comparison to proposed budgets that we have?
Right now, I should be getting them shortly. We're still, believe it or not, there are miscellaneous punch list items that we're still doing. We do them on like a Tuesday afternoon when the elementary schools are out. We're finishing them. I'm waiting for the documentation from our owner's project manager, Skanska. We're putting all that together, and PMA was our other project manager on Parker and Lincoln Hancock. They're putting all their documentation together. We should be getting that shortly. But we use very little contingency money on these schools. I was amazed at how little, they weren't very unforeseen conditions. The drawings were very good. We didn't use very much of a contingency at all. I think our numbers are going to look really good, and I should know that probably end of this month.
Okay, thank you. And then just the other question I had too, the reason why I asked if how large the discrepancy was between the proposal and the final is because I don't see any labor costs in here. Is that we're going to those numbers when it goes out to bid, or am I just missing it on here? I don't see any line items for labor costs or estimated labor costs.
Should we ask you about labor costs?
These costs, all the costs that are there include labor and material. And then you have the contingencies and the overhead and profit. But each cost includes labor and material.
So they're included in that, right? Okay. So that was it. Thank you.
And if I can just add to one more thing, which Walter was explaining to you. We've been doing projects with the city of Springfield and other cities, and as of this morning, we're closing the 2013 project. So in 2014, it takes about, with the MSBA, approximately about a year by the time they get closed out.
Thank you.
Mr. Walker, I just have one question for you. So we look at the agenda this evening. There's essentially 3 other items on it, corresponding to other work orders or open work orders, right? Statement of interest. I think that we spoke about that a little bit this evening. In terms of success rate, okay, so statement of interest just allows you the opportunity to get in line. It still has to be approved. I'm not looking for an exact number, but just kind of a hypothetical. How successful are we in our attainment?
Our success rate, I do believe, and maybe the superintendent can correct me, has been 100% with these projects. Every project that we've gone in, the SBA, we've had a tremendous amount of cooperation. In fact, SBA has commented on the programs we put forward, the documentation, and some of the other things that are required of us as to, essentially, Quincy really has its stuff together when it comes before SBA, and they've been really happy to work with us, and we've had a great success with it.
Which is good to hear. Doctor?
Yeah, I think since the beginning, we've had to Quincy High School, and following that Central, and now looking forward to Sterling, the core program, and then in the accelerated program we've been 100% as well. So I think we're really good.
I believe the reimbursement rate is certainly very attractive when you're coming up against 70 cents on the dollar, 68 and change, to the city money that has to go in. Mr. Walker, I was just maybe hoping you could clear something up for me on the memo that was issued, I believe, from the mayor's office, bulletin before, that talks about the total budget for these projects, about $9 million, with more than $6 million paid for by state grant. Now, are we assuming the cumulative, meaning what's before us here this evening, along with the subsequent boiler programs?
No, sir, I believe that those are the first 5 projects, about $9 million.
So that's the aggregate of everything that we've done.
Done to date, with the exception of these.
What's in front of
What's
us.
next?
Okay, that's helpful. I just have one question I don't know if this is directed more towards Mark or more towards Deb, but it's kind of more of the financing piece of it. So, I mean, as I had mentioned, right, roughly 70 cents on the dollar reimbursed. So the city is responsible for 30 in that case. What type of debt instruments do we plan on using to cover?
Initially, any amounts that we borrow towards these projects, subject to your approval, would be banned. They would be short-term bond anticipation notes. And we carry those for a couple of years. I don't know the renewal rate.
They're usually between 1 and 3 years.
Right, and it's interest only. Typically, you're paying around 2% interest, whereas the long-term debt would be more like 3.5. Currently, our credit rating was just reaffirmed at AA+, which is the second highest out of about 10 ratings. So we're in good standing there.
So essentially, you take our portion of this deal.
Correct. We would only borrow. We authorize for the total,
right.
Borrow what we need.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess, my question, I don't know this piece. What's the cost to the city to initiate a ban? Is there some sort of like sales charge or?
Because of the cost. I know it's interest only that we're paying on the instrument.
There are some costs initially in any bond because we use the city's financial advisor, First Southwest. Bond counsel also has to review the whole transaction too. So we're paying for those services as well as the rating agency charges us, for that process when we go through the rating. It depends on the size of the issue, how complex. So, but a lot of the bonds and the bans and the bonds, you get a premium, and a lot of that will usually cover the expenses of issuing a bond.
Essentially, you come in with this part of the deal, you authorize the ban, and some sort of payment paid to the financial advisor, which I understand to an extent that we're on the side of the business. But then year 3, I'm assuming you would take what's in front of us now and hoping that we apply or qualify for the statement of interest to deal with the boilers.
Right.
You'll combine these, and then essentially you'll underwrite a debt offering that you'll put out into the market. I'm assuming there's no charge associated with that or not.
It's all covered through the First Southwest handles that for us, so they pass those fees on to us as well. But we probably won't combine all these. The projects that are ongoing now, the previous window projects, we'll probably be permanently financing them before these new projects that are just coming on board.
And I'm just trying to learn here too. So when we actually go out and authorize the bond,
right.
what type of tenure are we thinking? Is it a 5, is it 10, is it 30?
20, probably 20 years.
It's 20 years. So obviously you pay interest on that 20-year authorization. In the aggregate, roughly, this is just back on the math, but it's $9 million we're talking about right now, right? Responsible for a third of it.
Right.
Does it make more sense, just from a, I guess, financial execution standpoint, to find a way to pay that up front, whether it's a FY17 budget, and then essentially negate any interest over 20 years?
So you're saying pay the entire project up front?
$3 million, yeah.
It's a budget question.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, we haven't
Ms.
talked
Kavanaugh,
about
you
that.
might have more
Theoretically, Chairman, you could do it, but it's not the traditional way government finances. They have to use debt both short-term and long-term, because more asset needs will come up next year and the following year. You just don't have the wherewithal to pay up front for everything. For any selected asset, if you have the wherewithal to buy it without bonding it, of course it would be cheaper.
Right.
But the cost of the schools and the useful life of what it is you're paying for generally is the rationalization that gets used. These schools and the projects, the enhancements being made will have probably more than a 20-year life to them. So paying for it over the course of the term of the bond is it works.
There's no question it's a vital project and a great project, especially if we're in a position to, secure that type of funding. And I just wonder, from a financial principle standpoint, does it make sense where it's $3 million when you're talking about an overall aggregate of $260 million budget? $3 million
277 this year
isn't huge. So I just, again, this is just me thinking out loud today. You forfeit all those 20 years of interest payment, and then you don't. Just a thought. I mean, that's obviously an administration's decision, but that's my thoughts. So, any questions from other councilors? Councilor Vaughn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McDonald, I think. I also see on your, I know we're just talking about Marymount and Beechwood Knoll right now. I also see Atherton, Howe, and Walson on the agenda for down the road here.
Right.
Where are we on the punch list of these schools? Is there any of those schools that really need some work to be done as well? I know we're just on these two. Is there anything that you've had out there that is saying, hey, this is...
Other buildings?
Other buildings.
The MSBA, to apply for the statement of interest on accelerated repair, like for instance, the windows have to be 20 years old or older. Anything below 20 years, they will not do. So that's why we went after boilers, because we don't have any windows right now that are 20 years old or older. So we looked at our facilities and we felt boilers are part of this. And we looked at our roofs as well, but a lot of our roofs, we don't have huge square footage. We've made so many repairs over the past 4 or 5 years that we're in good shape on our roofs, really, that we wouldn't get funding from MSBA. But boilers, we do have a need in those buildings. We looked at them thoroughly, and we feel the value has to be over $250,000 to go into the statement of interest on the accelerated repair. And we feel those 4 schools will qualify, because you're going to have to put in a new boiler, but you also have to put in concrete pads, you got asbestos removal, you got all new piping, you got electrical, you got all kinds of work, welding. So the boiler may cost you $70,000, but all the periphery work is going to raise the cost of it. You're going to have engineering, design. So we feel all those 4 schools will qualify. We'll know when MSBA MSBA sees these, that what they'll do is they'll contact us. They'll want to come out to the schools and look at them. What we'll do, we'll go with our mechanical engineer, Dave Scott, our Shelley Dean, our energy person, and our department, plumbers, and meet with MSBA and walk through with them and show them the problems that we have. And hopefully will qualify for those that work.
Thank you, thank you.
Any further discussion? I want to thank the speakers here this evening, as well as the project team. Also you, Mr. Walker, for helping us prep properly for this meeting. We do appreciate all the work that you did leading up to. As I alluded in the beginning, do you have something else, Walter?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you. As I alluded to in the beginning, due to advertising constraints, this item will remain in committee, and we'll revisit it at the next city council meeting. So at this point, motion to adjourn. 7